guys, and welcome to my channel. This week's video is going to be a little bit different than the most recent DCP videos that I've been making. And instead of being a vlog style video, it's going to be a sit down video talking about emotional support animals at Disney and living in Disney college program housing with an emotional support animal. This was a topic that I had a really hard time finding information on before I got here, so I wanted to make a video detailing everything that you need to know. This video is current as of spring of 2019. Disney is constantly changing their policies regarding pretty much everything, so this video may not be current in the next coming seasons, but this is the up-to-date information as of right now. So when I was first accepted to the Disney college program, I reached out to someone on the support page and just said that I needed to get in touch with someone from housing because I was wanting to bring my emotional support animal with me to Disney, and I wanted to know who I needed to contact and what kind of documentation I needed, and also what the rules were with housing. Someone got back to me and let me know that I needed to contact someone from housing regarding all of the rules, but they sent me a medical accommodation form and an email for disability services. And the form that they sent me was the generic workplace accommodation form that you would fill out for any sort of accommodation that you need at work. But they let me know that it would serve the same purpose for housing and that I just needed to have my doctor fill it out and send it over to disabilities. So I sent the form to my doctor. To be honest, the form was nothing like super crazy. It was just a couple pages, and honestly a lot of the information did not pertain exactly to me because I didn't need any help in work. It was just housing. So there was a lot of like boxes and stuff and paragraphs that I had to write that like we could skip because it wasn't necessary to my situation. So basically she just had to fill out why I needed an emotional support animal, what kind of accommodation I was looking for, which was an ESA living on property with me, and her license information and all of that. So it was a very simple form to fill out. I sent that to disability services and it took them a couple days to get back to me, and they told me that my request had been approved and that they were going to reach out to someone from housing to make sure that my request to have an emotional support animal would be approved. And I'm sorry, you can kind of see her moving right over here. So that whole conversation happened on the phone, and they told me that they would call me back in about a week because once they heard everything back from housing, then they could call me back and let me know what the next steps were for me. So she called me back about a week later and let me know that housing had approved my request and that I was good to bring an emotional support animal with me to Disney housing. And this was good news. She asked me if I had any questions, and I asked her a couple of the questions that I had, which were like, do I need to live alone? Is it true that I need to kennel my animal? And all of this stuff. I do recommend waiting to ask any questions like when you get in contact with housing, because the lady that I talked to from disabilities definitely had some incorrect information. She told me that I could live in any apartment that I wanted to, I just had to have my own room, which was not true. When I talked to housing later, I was actually told that I had to live in a one-bedroom apartment by myself. Since then, I have heard that it has changed. I heard someone tell me that arrived in April. I arrived in January, so someone with an April arrival date told me that they actually changed it and you can now live in a one-bedroom with a roommate as long as the roommate is aware of the animal and is okay with it. However, for me, I think it has worked out better to just live alone. Disney has comped the other bed in the room, so I pay the same price to live in my apartment by myself as I would if I had a roommate. And honestly, it's just easier for me since I didn't know anyone going to the program, and I didn't have to worry about how they would feel about living with an animal. So she told me, she tried to answer my questions the best she could, and then she told me that someone from housing would get in contact with me. This was another tiny issue that I had. I gave them a couple weeks to contact me, even though the lady from Disabilities said that it would only be a couple days, just because when I was going through all of this, it was like around Thanksgiving, starting to get into the holidays, and I know that like acceptances for the program were starting to wrap up and stuff like that, so I tried to give them a couple days or even just a couple weeks to get back to me because I knew that they were busy. However, after a few weeks, I still had not heard anything, and so I decided to contact someone from housing. So once again, I emailed the support page and just said, hi, I am a little confused because someone from housing was supposed to contact me about an emotional support animal and I have not heard anything. They took care of that right away. I got a response almost immediately, and they told me that someone would be contacting me, and within a couple hours of receiving that email, I got a call on the phone. Basically from there, they just went over all of the rules with me, all of the housing guidelines and all of that with having an emotional support animal. She gave me her email so that I could email her prior to my program if I had any questions or anything like that. And then she just asked me to email her a copy of my animal's rabies certificate and a headshot of her for her housing ID. So she does have a housing ID. I'll show it to you guys in a little bit. It basically, like at first I was like a little confused what the purpose of it was. I think it would serve a purpose more for a dog. I have a cat, if you haven't already seen her in the background of this video. And basically it just proves that she is an approved animal by Disney. Whenever you enter a Disney housing complex, you have to show your ID proving that you are part of the program and that you live in that complex. And so basically her ID just does the same thing. If she were to ever leave the complex with me, it proves that she can get back in. Also, emotional support animals are not allowed to really go anywhere, like any housing events or any other person's apartment. But I have seen service animals at these events before, and they will ask you to provide the service animal's ID if you take them to an event. So yeah, it's just basically proof that she is an approved animal so that I don't run into any issues with bringing her back into the complex if we leave or something. So yeah, that's pretty much all the information that I had. And you have to live in a 1-bedroom apartment by yourself. But like I said, that sounds like that's currently changing. I've heard from someone arriving that it changed and you can now live with a roommate. And Disney does ask you to kennel your animal whenever you are not home. So that is something else to consider if you're thinking about bringing an animal. I think this is just because they are not trained service animals, so this ensures that if anyone comes into your apartment to do any maintenance or inspections or anything like that, that your animal isn't going to attack them or hurt them, and it's for the safety of you and your animal. I'm also responsible for all of the care for her and anything like that. So I guess now I'll show you her housing ID and her kennel, and I'll let you guys meet her too. So this is Aurora. She is a 2-year-old female tortie cat, and she weighs about 7 pounds. She's very petite and very fluffy. She does not like to be on camera very much. But yeah, this is her. You've probably seen her in a couple of my past vlogs if you've watched them. She makes a guest appearance every once in a while. But yeah, this is her. This is the kennel that Aurora stays in when I am at work. She has everything that she needs while inside it. She has a bed, plenty of toys, her food and water, and a litter box. So she is totally covered when it comes to this, and this is where she lives when I am gone. This is her housing ID. It basically looks very similar to mine. Her ID number is literally identical to mine except for the underscore underneath, and hers just, yeah, like I said, it just proves that she is an approved animal to live in the complex, so I don't run into any issues when we leave. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this video was helpful and provided any information for anyone who was thinking about bringing an emotional support animal with them. I hope I covered everything. If I forgot to mention something, feel free to leave a comment on this video or reach out to me on social media, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.